Beverly Hills Cop there was 48 Hours was the first full-length movie that Eddie Murphy was in. Beverly Hills Cop was the first where he was the top-line actor, right? He was a police officer from Detroit. He's on vacation in Beverly Hills. I don't think it stands up with time, whatever, but that's where the line, we ain't going to fall for no banana in the tailpipe. It's the oldest one in the books. And I think America is going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe. No, I'm not talking about press conferences from Washington, D.C. I'm not talking about any other four-card Monty or the shell game. I'm talking about Tom Brady. How many times are we going to fall for the banana in the tailpipe? Bill Belichick's lost his mind. Doesn't know what he's doing. How is he going to get rid of said player? Tell me the guy who has left. I mean, I guess Jamie Collins would be the one, but they traded Jamie Collins and they got better after he left. But this is Bill Belichick has, I mean, if you go back and you could even trace like the best trades that he's ever pulled off, the best moves that he's ever pulled off. When Wes Welker left and went to Denver because they lowballed Wes Welker. Granted, he had concussions in Denver, and that was unforeseen. But Wes Welker is, I think he's a Hall of Famer. He had 3 years where he's the best third down wide receiver in football. Right? 3 years. He leaves, plays half a season, then he's essentially out of the league. Remember, they got Kyle Van Noy as a they traded a 6th-round pick to the Detroit Lions for Kyle Van Noy. He's been great. Now Kyle Van Noy goes away. What would you expect from Kyle Van Noy? You'd expect 1 year and then done. I mean, they acquired Ted Washington, helped to win their second Super Bowl. Then they get rid of Ted Washington, gets out of the league. Don't get me wrong, there have been misses. But if you go through what Bill Belichick has done, like when they finally cut Randy Moss went to Tennessee, was a shell of his former self. And remember, they acquired Randy Moss for a 4th-round pick. And all he did was have 259 receptions, 2,904 yards, 50 touchdowns during his time with the New England Patriots. When he started mouthing off and being a malcontent because he wanted a new contract, they got rid of him. And he was never the same. And I think we could even say that Bill Belichick, truthfully, wanted to get rid of Tom Brady 2 years ago, right? Wasn't that the story? 2 years ago that he wanted to replace him with Jimmy Garoppolo. And everyone's rightly put out. They won a Super Bowl. Like, look, he's always 1 year too early as opposed to 1 year too late. And that's what this actually feels like. Because Brady had one really good year where he faded late, and they found a way to somehow, because of one offside call, because of a nice draw, because of some timely offense, because they played an inexperienced head coach in the Rams and an inexperienced quarterback in the Super Bowl, they found a way to win a Super Bowl. I haven't been Max Kellerman saying Brady's going to go off a cliff, but they all do go off a cliff. And honestly, isn't that what Tom Brady did this year? Aren't we? We're giving him a pass. We're giving him a complete pass because he's Tom Brady. Any other quarterback, you'd say he's 42 years old. His production wanes. He's thrown some massive, from a guy who's crazy accurate to suddenly now have misfires. It's like we're only going to blame the wide receivers. Like the divorce has happened, and we've already said that Tom Brady won the divorce. One, divorce is usually a 50-50 proposition. Secondly, we've had other divorces before with Bill Belichick, and generally, generally he's been right. Right? I mean, here's what's crazy about it. Brady did throw for 4,000 yards this year, but he only completed 60% of his passes, and he only threw for 24 touchdown passes. And keep in mind that while those numbers seem to be super efficient, in comparison to years in the past, they pale in comparison. Tom Brady is much closer to being over the hill than he is to being a Pro Bowler, let alone an All-Pro. You can sit here and tell me, hey, listen, he didn't have skill position players around him. And that's fair. That's fair. But they had to smoke and mirrors this thing. Double passes, flea flickers, winning on special teams. Right? Like this did happen this year. I mean, just take a look at his stats and how he has faded. I mean, Tom Brady, 3 years ago, 32 touchdowns, 8 interceptions, a quarterback rating of 102.8. This year, 4,000 yards, but 500 yet less than he had 3 years ago. 28 touchdowns, 8 interceptions. 88.0 quarterback rating. His completion percentage has gone from mid-60s, consistently mid-60s his entire career, to 60%. He's going to be a year older. There is no, will he have better players, wide receivers around him? Yes. Yes. He will have wide receivers around him. So maybe that helps. But he's still going to be older. He's going to be in a new system. He won't know the tricks of the trade. Or the tricks of the trade with that. They won't know the tricks of the trade with their offense. Bill Belichick has done this before. Richard Seymour. Pick your superstar that was there. When they leave, it's not 100%, but it's about an 80 to 90%. They have one more good year and then off the cliff, right? It might be one more good year with Tampa, then off the cliff, or we might have seen the one more good year because he wanted to get rid of him 2 years ago for Jimmy Garoppolo. And if you want to sit here and tell me, well, they made the right call because they won the Super Bowl, Garoppolo lost Super Bowl, that's fair, but Garoppolo did get a team to the Super Bowl. He has shown the ability to win, even if handing the football off in the playoffs. And it's not like Tom Brady was crushing the world when he threw 2, which should have been 3 interceptions against the Chiefs 2 years ago, or this year in the playoffs. I feel like we're falling for the banana in the tailpipe. Because he's won 6 rings and played in 9 Super Bowls, because he looks young or looks as young as any 42-year-old on earth looks, we're like, he still got it, when the numbers and the production tell you something completely different. This was the worst that he's played in the last 10 years. He's gotten progressively worse as seasons have gone on. And you can sit there and tell me 2 road games in domes, warm weather at home, that's altogether good and fine. But Father Time is undefeated. He does not have some miracle elixir. The TB12 method, which look, Julian Edelman was Mr. TB12. You know what happened after he'd done a TB12 in the offseason 2 years ago? Tore his ACL. Right? Like there's no magic to it. Is it a really good diet plan? Is elasticity good and important? Is it a great way? Sure. All that stuff is important. You're still 42. You're still with Tampa, who didn't beat a good team last year. Not one. There is not one win over. There's one win, I think, over a team with an above 500 record. That's the Rams. That's it. And that was like 55-40. And Jameis Winston played out of his mind. And Marcus Peters nearly was decapitated, which is the most. He played the next week, and then was traded shortly thereafter because you have to be a lunatic to play the next week after you're nearly decapitated after that pick 6. That's not the point. Point is, people make Tampa out to being this great team. They're not. People making Tom Brady out to be a great quarterback. He was. People making Bill Belichick out to be some idiot. He ain't. And look, Bruce Arians is doing the thing, is doing the massive sales job of all sales job. Convincing everyone that his style of, we're done at 5, drinks at 5:30 is somehow going to work. Okay. Sure. Saints still in that division? Falcons still in that division? All right. I think Belichick got exactly what he wanted. I think what's going to happen to the Patriots is exactly what happened to the St. Louis Cardinals when they relatively lowballed Albert Pujols. You give him an offer which is legitimate. Hey, we'd still like you to. You want to make $30 million? You want freedom? Hey, man, it's been a great run. The Cardinals won a World Series afterwards. I don't think the Patriots will win a World Super Bowl with Tom Brady or without Tom Brady. I also don't think there's going to be some massive drop-off. How do I know that? Because Belichick has done this time and again and figured out a way to make it work. It should be pointed out that when Tom Brady could have won the MVP and he only played 12 games. Remember when he only played 12 games because he was suspended for Deflategate? You guys remember that? Does anybody remember what their record was without Tom Brady? Anybody?
4-1.
He didn't play 4 games.
3-1.
I believe that is accurate. Right?
I think Jacoby lost one of those games, right? Yeah.
No, they lost the first game of the year to the Dolphins. The first game, Jacoby Brissett, a third-round draft pick, but it was that was Garoppolo's start.
Okay.
No, actually, I think they're 4-0. Let me double check that one. No, they're 3-1. You're right. You're right. They're 3-1 without. That's 2017, correct? 2017. They started the year 3-1. Excuse me. Let me fix this thing. What year? I hate when I do this. I hate when I make a mistake. I want to make sure I clear up the mistake. There we go. They started the year 3-1. Jacoby Brissett lost the Buffalo Bills at home. But they smoked Houston with Brissett starting and only throwing for 300 yards. They won in Arizona. They beat the Dolphins. They beat the Texans. No one's saying Brady hasn't been an all-time great and that they weren't better with Brady than without Brady. That team finished 14-2. But the idea that Bill Belichick has lost his mind, lost his marbles, this is all ego, it doesn't come from a football intelligence perspective, that ain't right. Belichick has done this before. Let's not fall for the banana in the tailpipe and think he doesn't know what he's doing this time.